Let's go Broncos! The Denver Broncos just made two roster moves that could be game-changing for our entire season, and hardly anyone's talking about them yet. But trust me, once you understand the impact of these additions, you'll see this team with completely new eyes. What if I told you a former All-Pro just arrived in Denver and could be the answer to one of the team's worst-performing units? What if I told you an exceptional athlete from a national championship-winning offensive line just stepped onto the field with a real chance to fix one of the biggest issues we saw in Week 6? Before I delve into everything, because I'll explain it like no one else, be sure to like this if you're a true Broncos fan. I'm talking to first-time fans, long-time fans, those who bleed orange and blue. If that's you, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below saying, "Go, Broncos!" My heart bleeds orange and blue. Now let's get right to it. Big changes have just taken place in Dove Valley, and they couldn't have come at a more critical time. Despite being near the top of the AFC West, a glaring weakness has held the team back: special teams. For a long time, Denver's special teams unit has been near the bottom of the table, and this year, that has undoubtedly cost the team a more dominant record. Imagine if it weren't for that questionable leverage decision in the Colts game, the Broncos could easily be 5-1, leading the entire AFC. So, the front office responded. They went out and made a much-needed move, bringing in none other than J.T. Gray, a name that special teams coordinators across the NFL respect deeply. Let me be clear. This isn't some hopeful practice squad call-up. J.T. Gray is a multiple-time All-Pro special teams ace. Just last year in 2024, he proved again why he's considered one of the elite in this specific role. He's a monster on the field, particularly as a gunner, and his stats back it up in a big way. Back in 2021, Gray logged 19 special teams tackles, 16 of them solo, numbers that speak volumes in a phase of the game often overlooked. But he wasn't done there. In 2024, he raised the bar even higher with 26 special teams tackles. That made him the only player in the NFL to have at least 10 special teams tackles 4 years in a row. Consistency, toughness, and football IQ, that's what J.T. Gray brings to Denver. And this isn't just a random fit. Darren Rizzi, who is now with the Broncos staff, knows J.T. Gray inside and out from their days in New Orleans. Rizzi's special teams pedigree is well known, but even he couldn't pull this unit out of the basement until now. With Gray in the fold, don't expect Denver to stay at the bottom of the league in return yardage allowed. This guy changes that dynamic immediately. You just watch some of his tape, like that game against the Eagles, and you'll see a relentless, high-motor player blowing up returners and making momentum-shifting plays. This is the kind of energy and leadership that can completely alter the Broncos' third phase of football. But the Broncos didn't stop there. Another critical area getting a facelift, the offensive line. While the O-line has been a top-ranked unit throughout the year, the Week 6 grades told a different story. Specifically, the guard position took a noticeable hit, dragged down by Matt Pert's performance. While the tackles remained elite and Quinn Meinerz continued to shine at guard, Pert's drop-off opened a door for reevaluation. One possible internal solution? Slide Luke Wattenberg over to guard and bring Alex Forsyth in at center. Chemistry is key for any O-line, and that kind of mid-season shakeup is risky, but Payton might test it in the coming weeks. In the meantime, the Broncos added another intriguing piece, Carson Barnhart. Now listen closely, because Barnhart is not your typical depth signing. This guy was part of a national championship-winning Michigan offensive line. He's a former Big Ten champion and has one of the top relative athletic scores, RAS, among guards since 1987, ranking 101 out of nearly 1,500. That makes him a physical freak by NFL standards. He's drawn comparisons to Frank Crum, another athletic specimen Denver has been developing, and brings the same bus-jumping size and explosive athleticism. Barnhart played 31 games for Michigan and held his own against some of the nastiest edge rushers in the country. In fact, his highest-rated performance came during the Big Ten championship with a PFF grade of 75.5. Over his college career, he allowed only 46 total pressures and was a key part of a back-to-back Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, the highest honor given to an O-line in college football. He was also praised by Jim Harbaugh himself as one of the best players in camp, both in terms of performance and locker room presence. So, when the Chargers let Barnhart go despite their own offensive line struggles, it raised eyebrows, but it might just be a steal for Denver. And with offensive coordinator Zach Strief overseeing his development, there's a lot of faith that this group of athletic, high-upside linemen, Barnhart, Crum, Throckmorton, can be molded into a fearsome unit. Now, let's pivot to Bo Nix. There's been a lot of chatter online, with critics already labeling him a bust or suggesting he's in a sophomore slump. But let's keep it real, this guy is quietly outperforming expectations. Take his 326-yard, 3-touchdown game against the Bengals, who, by the way, have a better record than the Saints and boast the NFL's sack leader. Meanwhile, the media is hyping up Drake May for throwing 261 yards and 3 TDs against the one-win Saints. The double standard is wild. The stats back it up too. The Broncos' passing EPA, expected points added, when Bo Nix throws the ball is a stellar plus 41, which actually ranks ahead of Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So let's stop acting like Bo is the problem, because he's not. The real issues? Penalties and special teams. Denver currently leads the league in negative EPA due to penalties. That's self-inflicted damage, and it's something Sean Payton has to clean up fast. And speaking of that playoff push, let's go even deeper. Because the truth is, if you fix special teams and clean up those penalties, this Denver Broncos team has all the tools not just to make the playoffs, but to make serious noise once they're in. Let's talk mindset for a second. Sean Payton didn't just build an offense, he's rebuilding the culture. When you look at a move like bringing in J.T. Gray, it's more than a performance boost, it's a leadership signal. Gray has been a consistent team captain under Darren Rizzi. That means he's not just making tackles, he's setting the tone on the sideline, in the locker room, and in every meeting. This is the type of high-character addition that gets everyone on the same page. Now pair that with a player like Carson Barnhart, who was praised for being the hardest worker on one of the best O-lines in college football, and you start to see the blueprint. Sean Payton wants fighters. He wants lunch pail, no excuses grinders who play every snap like it's their last. And this team, especially on the offensive line, is starting to take on that identity. You've got Quinn Meinerz bulldozing in the trenches, Garrett Bowles quietly having one of the best seasons of his career, and now you're adding depth pieces who can keep the level of play high no matter who's in the rotation. That's what makes championship teams: depth, chemistry, and a common mentality. And we're starting to see it take form in Denver. And here's what's wild, the Broncos are still being underrated. All the noise is about Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, but what people aren't talking about is EPA in context. For example, when Bo Nix drops back to pass, he's producing better than almost every other rookie quarterback and outperforming some big-name veterans. You cannot argue with the numbers. When your offense consistently adds points on pass plays, your quarterback is doing his job. And let's be honest, Bo's growth curve last year showed the same pattern. He starts the season under the radar, takes his lumps, then by the back half, he's dealing. So why should this year be any different? If Denver fans and national media have learned anything about Bo Nix, it's that he gets better when it counts. That's what separates the guys who just have talent from the ones who actually lead winning football teams. But there's still that elephant in the room, penalties. Denver currently sits dead last in penalty-related EPA, and that's the type of stat that separates elite teams from average ones. You can't keep extending drives for your opponent. You can't keep putting yourself in third-and-long situations because of holding calls. You just can't. Sean Payton knows this. He's been vocal about discipline and cleaning up the mental mistakes. That's where leadership matters. That's where having guys like J.T. Gray in your locker room starts to shift the culture. When players start holding each other accountable, that's when penalties disappear, not just because coaches are screaming about it, but because the locker room demands better. And now let's address the defense for a second, because they've been flying under the radar, but they are quietly becoming one of the more dangerous units in the AFC. The front seven is doing serious work against the run. Just look at what they did against Breece Hall and Saquon Barkley. And if they can put the clamps on Scatterboo this week, it'll be another sign that this group is legit. Combine that with the progress we're seeing from the secondary, and it's not hard to imagine Denver becoming a defense that no one wants to face in the playoffs. We know that playoff football is about physicality and execution, and this defense has the makings of a group that can create turnovers,